okay, a thought comes, oh, I'm going to pick up the trash, or I'm going to do something about the planet or whatever, and the action unfolds. So there is no relation between the thought, and because the action is already engaged into, so the thinking process is more like an illustration of something that is already happening. So it's happening, the seeing of the trash and the energy to solve the situation is already an action, life in movement. And then there is a thought that comes, oh, I should pick up the trash. It's late. It's very late because it's already happening. And then when this mechanism of the thought being late and not the actual cause of the action, the thinking process is going to stop. Or to reduce so drastically that it's more like an illustration. If everything that is being thought is an illustration, what's the purpose? It's like a kind of parrot on your shoulder saying, oh, you're talking to people, oh, and you have a nice guy who is telling you nice stories, blah, 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 blah. This is ridiculous. Yeah, this is ridiculous because it's not required. It is an illustration. What's the point of illustrating life when it's seen directly, when it's lived directly? It's just happening. Okay, it's happening. There is no need to add a layer, except if this layer helps to create this false sense of continuity, of a separate entity. Okay, and when this is seen deeply, the mind just doesn't work anymore, and there is no mind. Actually, it doesn't exist. This is another concept. It's just a sticker. It's a post-it called MIND on a bunch of thoughts. So you put the thoughts together and you say, this is called mind, but that's all. That's just a concept. It doesn't exist. So mind doesn't exist, matter doesn't exist in a way. So there's a lot of things that collapse. Still, such a beautiful story is unfolding in 4D, with even 5D with the vibration and everything, like in a movie. It's the best movie ever. And that means that there's still a lot of juice, a lot of taste, a lot of fulfillment within the story.
Je vais te poser une question. Comment ça t'est venu, toi, de te mettre à cette place, de désirer enseigner, partager ça? Parce que c'est aussi un certain rôle que tu assumes. Donc c'est un besoin qui t'est venu comment? Enfin,
ok, je traduis d'abord et puis après je réponds. Après je traduis en français, après ou t'as besoin que je te le dise en anglais, ça va?
Dis-le en anglais si je comprends pas.
Tu me diras. So Claude is asking that this position is still a specific role, like as a teacher or something like that. And how did that happen to Didier, to me as Didier? I mean, what's the mechanism there? Correct? That's what you wanted to say. As everything else, actually, as everything else in our life, it's just happening. And actually, to answer the question is that this recognition that we are talking about, that's in my case, was very abrupt, very specific, like a quantum leap that happened more than 20 years ago. And so it's not very recent. And then quickly after, I tried to communicate, but I had very poor vocabulary, very poor understanding of what was happening, and nobody around interested. So it was just a total failure. It was a total... so that was life saying, that's not your role to talk about that. So I zipped for 10, 12, 14 years, actually. Totally. And life went on. So there is no need to become a teacher or a sharer or whatever. There is no requirement. And I know a lot of people that know what we are talking about here, that are not teachers, and they don't want to be, and they will maybe never be, for sure. So it's just a very specific story that can happen or not. And then, as it goes, within the story of life, I met a lady, which was in Oroville at that time, she's not anymore, who had, from two different angles, come to the same living conclusion, because we are not talking about concepts, but living conclusion. So we said, wow, let's talk together about that. So it was interesting, and then we said, but maybe we can share, and that's how it started. So the first meeting that happened like 6 years ago, that was not so long ago, I was with Cecilia, this lady called Anamika, and myself, and then we had nobody coming because nobody knew what we would be talking, and so we had a nice glass of wine. And that was the first thing. And then after it became like a few people came, and then, but it became always informal, you know, c'était informel, hein? Always like it's a sharing between friends, huh? Because there's no, this thing of the myth of the guru or the enlightened being is just another dream actually, huh? So we had fun with friends. And then some came in India, and they met us, and then they said, oh, why you don't come to France? So we started going to France, then we got invited in Finland with Michael and Gail, and then stuff started, and maybe we get invited in Denmark, we don't know. Huh? So that's how it goes, but if at some point there is no, and I got invited by Ragi and Anna here, so that's how it happens, but if there is nothing coming, there is nothing that needs to be said or done, it's just end of the story. And life goes on, and it's beautiful as it is. There is no need of sharing. But when it happens, it's kind of the cherry on top of the cake. But the cake is there already. So do you feel that there is what is pointed here is, in a way, I mean, I'm using, I know it's a strong statement, but in a way is utterly simple. Because if there is a complication that comes like, oh yes, but and all that, that's not what I'm talking about. So when all these stories are removed, when there is no more creation of several types of me's, the poor me that doesn't get it, or the great me who's starting to get it, that's also suffering actually, or any options in between. When these stories are not, they might appear, but they are not believed to be a reality, to be true. What remains is utterly simple, utterly simple. What I call a tool, Ramana Maharshi, self-inquiry is a tool. It's a technique. I don't call that a technique, because a technique implies that there is somebody who wants to get somewhere and uses a tool to get better and to get to a different place. Okay, so all that creates hamster wheels. Okay, so but if it says, well, I can see that there is this separation that's there. I mean, there is a sense of separation, right? That's a statement. And then somebody like Ramana Maharshi uses a tool. Who am I? To, in a way, to reveal the process of the hamster wheel and the identification with the small hamster going there, and just revealing that actually this ground of being is there all the time and has been available all the time. So it's just to kind of defocus from the hamster itself and be available to recognize again that which has never left. Okay, so that's a tool. What I'm doing here, you can see I'm using a different technique. It's a tool. That's a tool. I could use a bamboo stick and hit you very hard at Zen type, and it will be a tool. Do we want to try that? Yes, that's different flavor, and there are tools in the several mysticism, like Zen.
I know a lot of tools.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure all of us we've been. Yeah. So, but then the thing is that the point is, are you resonating with one or several of these tools? Really resonating, So that's the thing. If it's the case, then that's the entry point, and it might be totally different. When I was going to see Ramesh in the between 95 and 98, I was really full of passion for the message, for the whole thing. I said, "Oh, that's mind blowing!" And I was bringing my friend, come, and then they were looking at the thing and they say, "It's an old banker or rambling, telling nonsense." They were not resonating with that, and I could not understand that not everybody would be just. That was the beginning of opening my eyes to the fact that a specific message, and especially Ramesh's message, was really single-pointed. He was talking about the same concept, same things again and again and again. So if you didn't take that as a deep resonance, you would be bored to death in a matter of hours. You could not stay 3 days in a row, for sure. But when it resonates, you hear the same words again and again, and you go, ha, ha. And then maybe after hearing 100 times the same thing, you say, I get it. That's it.
Germany, there is no I get it. Yes. A silence that comes. There's no.
Well, so we can talk about this I. Okay, let's talk about that, because that's, and then we'll stop there for today. Because still, and that's there's a book that Ragi has here that's called The I is the Entry Door, correct? I is the door, the entry door in this case. Why would it be the case? That's what Maharaj was really pointing at, because his guru told him that make sense of this sense of I and try to go to the root of it. And then that's all what I'm asking you. So Maharaj trusted very much his guru and did that exactly, not trying to do something else to make sense of the I, to explain, to add concepts, but he just did that. And for him, that was enough. But the I, what I say I, is all what we intuitively feel, except it's hijacked. This I is hijacked by a body, by a mind, by a story, by a birth certificate, by a passport. That's the hijacking of the I. It's a true element of presence, which has been, in a way, glued to a specific aspect of life, and it becomes the small I. But the small I doesn't exist. That's the bad news. Okay. Anyway, that's the good news or bad news. That's a different story. So why the I is of our concern when Ramana Maharshi asks us to self-inquiry? Who am I? I mean the I in English. Qui suis-je in French? Is basically trying to put you a bomb in your hands, in your life, because if this question is followed to the root and more importantly to the conclusion, they will be immediately seeing that. Understanding that this I has nothing to do with any object appearing and disappearing in phenomenality of a body, of a mind, of an emotion, of a past, of a future, and all that. So it's a bomb, because it's going to explode. All the stickers, the post-it. I should have a pile with me. We could have fun with that, where you put an I, where actually life puts an I on the sticker and glue it here, glue it there, glue it on your passport, glue it on the. So that's how. So Ramanaji says, okay, use this who am I to clean up the mess, because it's a mess, no? So cleaning up the mess, removing the I from the photo that is there. Removing it, so that's Douglas Harding about this face. Is it really who you are, or is it just an image? And etc., etc. So it's in a way this I is true, except it's been abused. I mean, not the I has been abused, but the meaning of the I has been abused by adding a lot of unrelated stuff, which we think it's related, but it's not. So that's what we have been exploring just before. And then, why is it the entry door? Is because then, from this gateless gate, so-called gateless gate, that means the gate that proves itself not to be there because it's the disappearance of something that doesn't exist, so there is actually no gate. The I, that was the tool, that was the way, can disappear. Because I compared to what? I compared to what? Because if you say I, it's a specific thing that so then we can talk about presence, we can talk about awareness, which would be a much more impersonal way of talking, and still the I would be able to be expressed. So in a way, saying I is not getting lost within the stickers all over the place. It's just going directly to ground of being, awareness, presence, and as Ragi would say, this absence of it also. So that's, tomorrow we are talking about the absence, today we're talking about the presence of it, about just the fact that that I am, and there is nothing else that can be said.